Let's get to the news. President Trump signed a proclamation last week declaring March as Women's History Month. It already was. Anything else you want to announce? Maybe statehood for Hawaii? I know they'd be really excited about that. According to a new article in Politico, several members of Congress said it's not uncommon for lawmakers to show up drunk for late-night votes, which explains the vote to add balls to the Washington Monument. And they signed off on that design. In a new interview, President Trump said that he believes the biggest threat to the country are nuclear weapons and added that they are, quote, big monsters that can blow your heads off for miles and miles and miles. And in that case, I'm glad the guy in charge of them describes them like he's a sugared-up 4-year-old. President Trump spoke last week about NASA astronaut Suni Williams, who is stuck on the International Space Station, and called her, quote, the woman with the wild hair. Okay, let's not throw stones. This also looks like it was taken in zero gravity. When asked by reporters yesterday aboard Air Force One about the possibility of a recession, President Trump said that his tariffs will make the U.S., quote, so rich you're not going to know where to spend all that money, unless, you're feeling like an omelet. According to a new interview with polling experts, having 2 mayoral candidates with the last name Adams on the New York ballot this year could confuse voters and give other candidates an advantage. Yeah, there's no way people in New York, New York will understand seeing the same name twice. The FDA has reportedly canceled this month's meeting of vaccine advisors, which was supposed to select the strains for this winter's flu shots. Though with this guy in charge, I'm guessing this year's flu shot is beet juice and HGH. President Trump shared a picture on Truth Social over the weekend that was half. Again, he shared it. President Trump shared a picture on Truth Social over the weekend that was half of his face next to half of Elvis Presley's face. I don't get it. Is that supposed to make him look good? This looks like a PSA about the effects of cigar smoke. Officials in Scotland recently received their first potential Loch Ness Monster sighting of the year, which also included a photo, and I, for one, am touched by the purity of a nation of people who have apparently never seen 2 trash bags in the water. If that's Nessie, then I've seen her in the East River every day for 25 years. Finally, a Canadian man recently broke a Guinness World Record by eating 25 Carolina Reaper chili peppers in just over 4.5 minutes. He didn't even order them. He was just too polite to send them back. When asked in a new interview about the recent market volatility surrounding his tariff policies, President Trump said, quote, what I have to do is build a strong economy. Cool, whenever you're ready. President Trump yesterday signed more executive orders. In related news, happy National Wet T-Shirt Day. President Trump signed a proclamation last week declaring March as Women's History Month and added, quote, women have done a lot for us. In fact, sometimes they do so much, you have to pay them $130,000 in hush money. President Trump said last week, why not? President Trump said last week he's considering imposing sanctions and tariffs on Russia. No, you're not, said the plant in his office. That's right, President Trump is considering imposing sanctions and tariffs on Russia, which means we're all going to be paying a little bit more for our caviar? I can't pay more for caviar and eggs. My caviar omelet's already so expensive. The makers of Sesame Street announced they're laying off more than 200 employees. And to the count, now's not the time. Just cool your jets. A New York longevity clinic has announced recently it will offer a $250,000 annual membership that includes anti-aging treatments. You ever notice how it's only super wealthy people who want to live longer? That's why anti-aging treatments are $250,000, but a Taco Bell Supreme Luxe box is $5.99. Here's a 10. Take me out. Sotheby's Auction House announced last week that it will host a sale of rookie jerseys belonging to basketball legends Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. that is expected to take in $20 million, while Shaq's rookie jersey is still being used in yacht races. Wrong jersey, not his rookie. He wasn't a rookie for the Lakers. Yeah. I'm sorry, we have to go back to the top of the show. And finally, Panera Bread has announced that it will offer a green version of the chain's famous bread bowl in honor of St. Patrick's Day. The way it works is they just leave it out overnight. President Trump met yesterday with Ukrainian President Zelensky to discuss a potential, I'm kidding, you guys, he sold Teslas at the White House. I mean, look at this guy. He's like a reverse Oprah. I'm getting a car and I'm getting a car. That's right. President Trump and Elon Musk posed for photos with several Tesla vehicles yesterday at the White House. Just an incredible photo. This looks like the parking lot at a San Francisco divorce court. By the way, I count 4 things in that picture that need to be charged. President Trump viewed several Tesla vehicles yesterday at the White House. Used to be the only thing you had to plug in at the White House was Mike Pence. During a White House event yesterday, President Trump said that he was going to purchase a Tesla by writing a check and added, quote, "I like signing a check. Yeah, we know. That's how you got caught." Never backfired on me once. President Trump announced on Truth Social this week that he would purchase a Tesla to support Elon Musk and called the company, quote, "Elon's baby." Well, that's not true. If it was his baby, he wouldn't care about it at all. President Trump repeated his threat to annex Canada yesterday amid increasing trade war tensions. God, America and Canada haven't been in a fight this bad since, well, I guess pretty recently, but still. Very recently. When asked about recent stock market sell-offs during a briefing yesterday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, quote, "We are in a period of economic transition," which is like saying the Titanic was going through a change in buoyancy. Krispy Kreme has unveiled its St. Patrick's Day menu, which includes 4 new donuts, while Dunkin' just poured Jameson in the culottes. JetBlue announced last week that they will renovate their flagship terminal at New York's JFK Airport, which will, quote, "create a unique New York sense of place," because nothing feels more like New York City than just throwing up scaffolding for 5 years. And finally, a coyote was captured by authorities on Tuesday after entering an Upper East Side parking garage, because you can get away with a lot in the city, but you cannot go into a parking garage without a ticket. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer yesterday criticized President Trump for holding an event promoting Tesla cars on the White House lawn. It's what Schumer is calling strike one, Mr. President. The federal government is set to shut down on Friday at midnight, so to make some quick cash, it's now Pepsi Presents the Gulf of America. According to a new poll, you can just keep changing it however many times you want. Now that we've established you can change it every day if you want. According to a new poll, a majority of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy. Said Trump, "That's it, 200% tariff on polls." Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon is reportedly considering running for president in 2028, excuse me. But I was polling very well based on the argument. But I don't think the country is ready for a president who's only been convicted of 1 felony. In a post to Truth Social today, President Trump threatened to impose a 200% tariff on all wines and champagne from France, and France is livid. "You don't have to say champagne from France, you imbecile. All champagne is French." Elon Musk reportedly asked his political advisor to procure a massive television for his office so he can play video games, and of course, 1 controller. Elon, are you sure your friends aren't going to come over? I'm sure. A New York woman has filed a lawsuit against the Girl Scouts that claims their cookies are contaminated with, quote, "dangerous heavy metals, especially the Tin Mints." That's right. A New York woman is claiming that, we're going to tell a second. You think we're going to beat Tin Mints? Okay. That's right. A New York woman is claiming that Girl Scout cookies are contaminated with dangerous heavy metals, including aluminum, arsenic, cadmium, lead, and mercury, and even worse, coconut. Just doing the math real quick. What's the opposite of 2 for 2? New York Mayor Eric Adams attended the reopening of Planet Hollywood in Times Square this week and was booed while walking the event's red carpet. Just imagine how unpopular you have to be to get booed by people who showed up for the reopening of Planet Hollywood. A Florida senior citizen shot a man with a flare gun in self-defense last week after the man approached him with a baseball bat during a road rage incident, or as it's called in Florida, a meet cute. A Los Angeles County deputy sheriff has been accused of smuggling black tar heroin into a jail by hiding it inside 2 cans of Pringles, and the worst part was the prisoners could never get that last bit of heroin from the bottom of the can. It's a Pringles joke. At the end of the day, it's really a joke about Pringles. According to a new survey, nearly a quarter of Americans said that they regularly pee in the shower. Even worse, that means 75% of Americans are liars. And finally, Southwest Airlines announced yesterday it will no longer offer customers complimentary checked bags, while in Spirit, your first garbage bag is still free. And that was a monologue